Okay, well, my goal was yesterday. I filmed putting or installing a new little piece of equipment, Poco Mofage. It's a adapter. No, it's a filter thing for that goes in between your lenses and your camera body, so that my main goal was to have a variable ND just ready to go at all times. So it's a cool piece of equipment, but it pretty much didn't go how I wanted it to go, which is a bummer. But for the most part, you'll get to see pretty much like how I install it. The main well, you'll see how it goes. So, anyways, I'm just gonna voice over what happened because also the audio on all the footage that I worked is completely unusable. I was a ding dong and I thought that I could charge the little mic that I've got because the receiver was almost dead. So I thought I could charge that while I was using it, and you cannot do that. So yeah, so that's the situation. I'm gonna just voice over the footage I did. So obviously, when you're watching it, just be like, when you see me talking to the camera, um, that's yesterday's footage. So I'm also gonna just kind of, I think, give a quick synopsis of, business wise, kind of where I'm at, what I'm doing, and then yeah, roll from there. So this will be vlog number 2. Welcome to it, and let's dive in. So a couple of months ago, I came across, let's see, his name's the Savage Filmmaker. Um, at the time I was looking at a Blackmagic camera, which didn't end up, wanting to go that route. But regardless, his video helped a lot. And in his video, he talks about, or he like just briefly brushes past this item that he has called the Poco Mofage. And this is just I guess you call it a lens filter or like drop-in filter that you can put in between your lens and the camera body, which is incredible. And it has a variable ND. So, I mean, I think like most people, the reason I wanted to get it was, hey, I now basically have an internal ND that, I can switch out my lenses. I don't have to worry about putting a filter on the front or anything like that. So, that being said, the one major caveat is that it is for PL lenses. So if you don't have a PL lens, then or doesn't have the PL mount, it's not going to work for you. But regardless, I recently got a new lens, Laowa Rangers, the Laowa Ranger, 28 millimeter to 75 millimeter. So this was like perfect windstorm. At the time, I was so anxious to use it, and I figured it's good to have, a couple options. So I also bought the L mount bayonet that, would allow it to go from a PL mount to an L mount for my cameras. So the main thing is I've got a Lumix S5 II and 2 Lumix S5s. And the L mount I was able to switch out, super great, super nice. So that was awesome. And then, um, or at least I was able to switch it from the PL that it came in over to the L mount. So that was easy. And at this point now, okay, so then this was the part where I figured, well, okay, this can be like not necessarily a tutorial, but at least you get like a general, brief overview of like this is how I switched out the lens mounts. Um, this first part is great and easy. You can see it's super simple, quick and easy to take off the L mount with the bayonet, so that now we're back down to the, pretty much just bare lens itself, and time to put the PL mount back. Um, One thing always to note if you're doing this is keep track of your screws. Don't, make sure you use like a little container like I've got that the screwdriver came in, and keep them in there. So anyways, now we get to the part of, I don't remember what this part is called, but it's like the black, I'm just going to call it the black ring. But pretty much what you're seeing here is that it keeps getting stuck partway through. And now looking back, what I realized at the end was that there was a cup, probably like one or two to start with, and then I made the problem way worse by trying to force it farther than it should go, and then also trying to back it out a few times. Um, and those metal shavings in the threads just made it impossible to get the the black ring uh, back on back onto it. Um, so this one step in the process made what should have been like a 20-minute, 30-minute, you know, job task into like an hour and a half. So that was a big time bummer. But I think the big lessons to take away from this are number one, as you probably have noticed, I used my pliers for two reasons. One, because I thought at one point I could just like screw it past, because you know, sometimes you're screwing something in and it just like catches, and then you realize, and then once it's past the catch, all of a sudden it, you know, screws all the way in or screws all the way out. Um, but that's not how it went, and it definitely only made it worse. So then I had to unscrew it so that I could start from scratch, and that was also kind of dangerous. So my main takeaway is number one, I think using the, you know, like lens cloth like I did here is good, just to kind of like be careful and not scratch the lens. But ultimately, I would say don't ever do this. You shouldn't force anything like this. Nothing like this should be forced at the end of the day. Um, the glass itself is totally fine. So that's all that's important. And I'm still going to probably get, you can't purchase the lens separately on their website, or you can't purchase the mount separately on their website. But seeing how easy it is to switch them in and out, I'm just going to email them. If it's, you know, 20 or 30 bucks, um, I'll probably just end up doing that just to make sure that, like, okay, it's it's a nice clean mount, and you know, if I need to switch it out again, I'm not running into major issues. But when I realized it really truly was the shards in the thread, and you know, it took me way too long to realize that that was a problem. But when I did, I ended up taking these toothpicks, and I just went through, and as I took the toothpick and went through this both ends of the ring, I was pulling out a, a good amount of little metal shards. And then once I got it back in, it still wanted to catch a little bit. It still wanted to catch at a couple parts, but it definitely was way better, and went in. So I guess big lesson learned in the day is that, um, don't try to force anything that's supposed to be screwed in, or you know, that's supposed to be screwed in. And if you're running into that, check your threads. So yeah, and maybe most importantly, do everything you can not to scratch the glass. I should go without saying, but obviously. So the lens is all good, in working condition, so that's good and fine. But then we get to this part, which is I'm super pumped and excited because it's, you know, all attached. The weight feels good, and you can see here, this is how the ND filter works. So that's really cool, and it's a really nice smooth. It doesn't seem like there's, you know, much if any vignetting um, on the filter. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to get this into use. But the reason I won't be able to use it for at least a few days is I realized that you can see that like round, like the gear for adjusting the ND is too thick, and it bumps into the cage on the side of my camera. So what that means is I basically can't use it until I get a different cage for my camera. So this is me, yeah, looking on Amazon, and luckily, you know, in kind of a crazy turn of events, like I think it's like $100 for the small rig cage to go on to the S52X, but for 30 bucks, you can get a super light cage that probably is just as good and isn't as bulky. It seems to stick right to the side. And I also got for, I think, also 20 bucks, like one of those universal camera cages. That way, um, I just kind of have flexibility, and uh, well, if the other one doesn't work, then I've got the backup and I can use that. My main thing is I just need the rod with the focus motor to fit on that. And I'm sure there's another like camera fitting or adjustment I could use to make that work, but I think the cage just gives it more stability, and I'm not worried about snapping something on the camera itself by using that. So anyways, long story short, the filter does come with just a clear filter so that, there's nothing in between. You can just leave it on your camera. So that's what I'm going to use for now until the new cages come in. But other than that, that's the Poco Mofage. I'm still jacked. I'm still super pumped to use it. I think it's going to make my workflow just 1,000 times easier, not having to worry about, ND, and also the fact that it's got that gear. So it should just be a lot easier to adjust and use in the moment, rather than trying to adjust like a filter at the end of the lens and just really kind of throw off the. Well, you'll see it. I guess that's the thing. You have to touch your camera to do that. Whereas hopefully this gear is just a little bit less intrusive, and when I'm filming, I can do that a lot easier. So, all right. So that's the adventure of trying to get a variable ND onto my uh, main camera. But today, other than that, my main goals are just to get this vlog uploaded, and then from there, really get back into, and then from there, also upload another one of my drone videos. I'm going to do another vlog just on that because that's kind of just a side project that I want to have, but it kind of plays into some of the marketing that I'm trying to do. Um, so speaking of which, today is kind of just get the editing done. Hopefully before, my goal is before 2 p.m. And then from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., get caught up on my marketing and sales, which is pretty much right now just really beefing up my social media. That has 100% taken a back burner over the past couple years, which has not been a smart idea. But just, doing the maintenance on that, and then also responding to, I say an inquiry. I did a project for this one guy, and he's come back to, hopefully it's, looking pretty good at finishing up that job, or, picking up another project with him. So once that's confirmed, I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then just doing some cold emailing and cold calling. It's not super fun, and that's a whole other thing that I'm looking to do another vlog on, is just kind of my experience doing that. But it seems to get some results. I would say it seems to get me results when I need them. It's never. It has yet to be really like consistent in a way, but also I feel like the way that doing the way that I'm set up, being that it's like full service, where most of my projects where I'm getting paid what I should, it's or getting paid, my full rate. It's the planning, the filming, and then all the post-production, editing, and delivering the videos. So being that that's a whole process within itself, um, I think that's a piece of why it's also a little more difficult to pick up clients, because it's not, hey, just hire me to show up and I'll film stuff. It's a lot of times a small business or a company wants a video, and they want kind of the whole thing, and trying to guide them through that process of, okay, if we're gonna film this, how are we gonna use it in the end? Where's it gonna look like? And just kind of helping guide them through that process, because I think a lot of businesses just, they know they want video, they're just not quite sure where or how they're going to do that. And that's obviously not the case for everybody, but when I'm cold calling, that kind of seems to be a common denominator. So that's today. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Vlog number 2, baby. In and out.